So we're at Woody Head down in St Lawrence, looking at it from a chough point of view. So what do we have here? We have coastal fields, all triple SI, looking east at the moment, swing round, looking west towards St Catherine's Point. So all these fields are sites of special scientific interest, kind of chalky grassland. Cattle graze, summer cattle graze, winter cattle grazed. Presumably they don't treat the cattle with ivermectins, but I'm not sure about that. Certainly the cowpats I see here have lots of invertebrates buzzing around them. So, but yeah, for choughs you would basically need a mosaic of tightly grazed grassland and more tusky grassland for some of the other biodiversity. But if you have a look closely, this grassland isn't tightly grazed. It is grazed in summer, but not tightly enough for feeding choughs, I would suggest. So, you know, if choughs were to be introduced into this part of the island, or were to colonise later, then I think slightly more cattle grazing. Although over at Old Park, which is just over in the distance, that's where the cattle are at the moment, and it's a bit more tightly grazed over there. Probably still not quite enough cattle grazing. But yeah, just directly above the inner cliff face, which is where I think choughs could nest, you've got arable. So I'm kind of looking north now at the kind of inner cliff face, and you've got some arable, which is spring barley at the moment mostly, which obviously would become decent stubbles potentially for choughs to feed on. And you've also got some grassy fields up there, sheep and cattle grazed. And just over there on Week Down, you've got a mixture, a mosaic of some tightly grazed, some very lightly grazed grassland, some arable, some fallow there, St Lawrence Field, which is a Wildlife Trust arable reserve, all of which could offer really good feeding habitat for chough. And a little way along you've got chalk grassland, which is kind of very tightly grazed in winter and then remains kind of, to my mind, ideal chough feeding habitat in summer. It's just kind of very tight chalk grassland full of orchids and rock rose, that kind of stuff's a typical species of very short chalk grassland, which I think would be good chough feeding habitat. So looking south now, there's the sea. You've got jackdaws nesting in these cliffs. I think anywhere where there's nesting jackdaws, you potentially have nesting choughs as well on the sea cliffs. Got a few pairs of fulmars here as well. So there are cavities. It's a mixture of kind of very friable chalk and slabs of green sand, which is rock hard, as you can see. So totally inaccessible, these cliffs. Well, if you had choughs nesting here, you'd need to guard them, I think, because anyone can get over there, I think. So yeah, I think as well as the inner cliff face, potentially some choughs nesting in those chalk cliffs. Amazed they don't already, really. St Catherine's Point in the distance. You've got Gore Cliff directly above it, which is a huge, tall area of green sand cliff with chalk on top. So a very stable cliff line, which I could see choughs nesting in. National Trust owns St Catherine's Point, which is all pastoral, so good foraging habitat potentially. Quite tightly grazed, there's lots of rabbits over there, so they keep areas tightly grazed in summer. Yeah, so a really good area in my opinion. I think one issue here from a chough point of view is the invading holm oaks, which are spreading along the inner cliff, and would be greatly reduce its value for choughs as well as chalk grassland. So the cliff top there is triple SI for its chalk grassland interests. So, you know, from a triple SI point of view, we need to remove a lot of that holm oak, and we would do from a chough point of view as well. Open it back up. In the 90s, it was completely clear of holm oak when I first came to the island, and now it's quite a lot of holm oak invaded. So yeah, an area of great potential. So the landowner down here, Bank End Farm, has kind of offered to or is amenable to the idea of having cell buntings reintroduced. So may well be amenable to having choughs reintroduced on their land as well. Used to be a rare breed survival trust farm, so they're quite used to having things in cages, so potential for rear and release on their land.